What is going on, guys? Gamers Goon here today to give you guys my mock draft 2.0. Now, this is obviously the second mock draft that I have coming out, and there'll be at least one more. And on the last one, the last one I will be posting will be on April 28th. April 28th is the day before the NFL draft. So that will be the last one I'm posting. And in the description down below, you'll be able to find a link to my full NFL mock draft, all 7 rounds. Because I plan on doing that this year for the first time, which should be interesting. But as of right now, this is what I got happening for the first round of the 2021 NFL Draft. Now, I do have a trade happening here. There might be more trades as the weeks go on, but right now I only have one trade I think is going to happen. But this is post 49ers trade and also post the Panthers trading for Sam Darnold. So this takes into consideration all those things. We open off the NFL draft with the Jaguars, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think it is a foregiving conclusion that Trevor Lawrence is going to get drafted here, quarterback out of Clemson. I think everybody has came to the same conclusion when it comes to the quarterbacks, that the tiers go Trevor Lawrence, everybody else. I think this tiers, honestly, if I'm going to be honest, the tiers go Trevor Lawrence, and then you got Zach, Justin, and Trey. Or my bad, not Trey. Mac. And then you got Trey. And then you got the Davis Mills. You got the Kellen Monds. You got all those guys. So Trevor Lawrence, I think, is obviously going to be the first pick here. I think everybody's known that for the last few months. It's just been waiting for it to happen, man. It is the 8th that I'm filming this. I'm going to be uploading this on Monday, but it's just a countdown until it happens. They're not trading out of that pick. Now, a team that I see could potentially trade out of this pick is the Jets. I don't think it's likely, but I could see them moving down as low as 4. If maybe the Falcons wanted to take a shot at the quarterback that I'm going to have drafted here. But I think the Jets are going to stay pat, and I don't care who is in the second spot. I don't care if there's a trade or not. And I do know that there's been a very big debate whether or not Justin Fields or Zach Wilson is the guy. In my opinion, Zach Wilson has the most potential and is probably the biggest arm in this draft. And that's saying a lot. That is saying a lot. Now, I'm not going to go as far as to compare him to one of my favorite players in the NFL right now, Josh Allen. I kind of had to throw that in there. But Zach Wilson, I think, has a very high ceiling. Justin Fields, I don't think his ceiling's as high. I'm going to be honest. Justin Fields is a winner. He has a very high floor, but not necessarily a high ceiling. He might prove me wrong. I hope he does. But I'm going to have to say Zach Wilson here just because I really think Zach Wilson can be that guy. I honestly believe that Zach Wilson has the potential to be better than Trevor Lawrence in the end. I know that's weird to say. I do know that a few people have said that they prefer Zach Wilson over Trevor Lawrence. If given the opportunity to pick Wilson or Lawrence, I would take Zach Wilson because I think that he has the potential to be that superstar, and I don't think his floor is that low either. But I'm going to have to say that if the Jets sit here, they're going to have to take Zach Wilson as their new franchise quarterback. They just got a new coach. They just got rid of Sam Darnold. Go do what you need to do and go draft your new franchise quarterback in Zach Wilson. He's going to end up starting for them this year. It might be a little bit rough of a season, but 2 or 3 years down the line, it will work out for him, just like it worked out with Josh Allen. Next, we have the San Francisco 49ers who traded up now. There's no way that they get out of this position without drafting a quarterback. You do not trade up to number 3 without having a quarterback in mind. You're not going to trade up for a Penei Sewell here. You're not. You're not trading up to get Jamar Chase. You're not trading up to get Kyle Pitts. You're not doing any of that. The options here for them are Mac Jones, Justin Fields, and Trey Lance. And I am I think a lot of people are going to say this too. Mac Jones right now feels like the 49ers pick. I'm hearing a lot of 49ers love towards Mac Jones. I'm hearing that they love this guy. But I'm telling you right now, I'm not so worried about Justin Fields here sneaking in. I'm worried about Trey Lance. Now, I have Trey Lance falling down my board a little bit, but I wouldn't be shocked if they shock everybody and take Trey Lance here. I definitely a dark horse pick for number 3. I could see Justin going here too, but I think the logical option here, from what I've gathered from San Francisco fan base and from the news reports coming out of San Francisco, is Mac Jones seemingly is the guy. I prefer Justin Fields over Mac Jones. I'm going to be honest. I prefer Mac Jones over Trey Lance. I could see them going any of the 3 ways, but I'm gonna have to go with what the reports are saying. I'm gonna have to go with Mac Jones because there's nothing legitimate to back up my claim of possibly seeing Trey Lance slip in here outside of the fact that people have said he might be a Patrick Mahomes-esque kind of player, and there's nothing really about Justin Fields that is proving me that he's going to be out in here outside of the fact that he might be the second best quarterback in this year's draft behind Trevor Lawrence. I mean, there's nothing that's convincing me that the 49ers are going to see that, and I'm going to have to go with Mac Jones there. Quarterback out of Alabama. Do I think Mac Jones is a bad player? No. Do I think he's the number 3 overall player in this draft? Absolutely not. I don't even think he's the top 3 quarterback in this year's draft. Number 4, maybe. Maybe. Trey Lance and him can duel that out, but I definitely don't think Mac Jones is worth the 3rd overall pick. Next, we have the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Atlanta Falcons are making a trade here. And all I got to say is, how about them Bears? How about them Bears? While we're at it, Chicago, please re-sign Cordero Patterson. Please. But how about them Bears? So I have Chicago moving up from pick 20 to pick 4. Now, my return here is not set in stone. This could be any situation here, man. But what I've been hearing is Anthony Miller is on the block. We're trying to ship Anthony Miller out. So I'm taking that and I'm applying that here. I'm not applying it to maybe getting a 4th round pick or a 5th round pick somewhere. That's not what I'm doing. I would actually have Chicago incorporate him in to a trade up in the draft with here's the proposal that I have: a 1st rounder this year, the 20th pick in this year's draft, our 3rd rounder this year, which is pick 83, so we can keep our 2nd round pick, Anthony Miller, and a future 2nd round pick, whether that be next year or the year after. I don't think that moving up to get Justin Fields is worth multiple 1st round picks. I do not. The Falcons, they're going to have to start thinking about life after Julio, and yes, they do have Calvin Ridley, but they're going to need another guy. Russell Gage is going to be there, but they're going to need another guy. Anthony Miller could be that guy, and I think Anthony Miller still has a lot of potential to be something special in the league. I just don't think it's going to be in Chicago. So they could get a little haul there, and I got Chicago moving up to number 4. And with the 4th overall pick in this year's draft, I have the Chicago Bears drafting a quarterback, getting their quarterback of the future. Now, I do know that Andy Dalton is considered QB1, and they said the same exact thing about Mike Glennon. Don't you forget it. And what did the Bears do? They traded up and they got Mitch. Now, I love Mitch. I will always be a fan of Mitch Trubisky because I do not think he was given a fair opportunity in Chicago because they never really added talent around him. Hopefully that's a different story with whomever might be the next franchise quarterback, or at least whomever might be the next guy placed with that responsibility. Obviously, Mitch isn't the franchise quarterback because really they gave up on him before everything ever got started. So I'm going to say, yeah, we have Nick Foles. Yeah, we have Andy Dalton. But we're still going to trade up, and we're going to trade up for Justin Fields out of Ohio State, and I think we get one of the top 3 quarterbacks in this year's draft in Justin Fields. Then we get into the Cincinnati Bengals with pick number 5. Yeah, the Bengals are picking up early, man. I really want to give them a receiver. I really do. because I love my guy Joe Burrow. If you don't know, I was a big fan of him out of LSU, man. I was a big fan of Joe Burrow. That was my guy. Him and Justin Herbert were my two favorite players in the draft last year. And unfortunately, man, as much as I'd love to give him Jamar Chase, as much as I'd love to give them my favorite receiver in this year's draft and Jalen Waddle, as much as I'd love to give him Devontae Smith, as much as I'd love to give him Kyle Pitts, they got to fix the O-line. They got to fix the O-line. And I'm gonna go to who I believe is still the number one offensive lineman in this year's draft. I've seen Rashawn Slater be named as one of maybe the best offensive linemen in this year's draft. I've seen a lot of different things about who could possibly be the number one offensive lineman. Don't look too far into it. There was a reason why Penei Sewell was listed as the number one offensive lineman going into the year. You're forgetting about the fact that he didn't play a whole season, so you don't really remember. Penei Sewell is an elite offensive lineman. I would know. I watched him at Oregon. I watched every single game that last year when he played with Justin Herbert, when he played with Micah Pittman, when he played with everybody from that Oregon team. That Rose Bowl year, I know. I've seen them play. I've seen him play. He gave up, what was it, one sack his entire career? One? And you're questioning whether or not he's going to be a good NFL player. And you got to mention also, he went his entire time off preparing for the NFL. I don't think there's going to be any rust there with Penei Sewell. I got Penei Sewell as the fifth guy off the board. I think he's the best offensive lineman in this year's draft. Then we get into the Miami Dolphins. Shout out to my brother Joseph Conlon. Big Dolphins fan. And I do know that the Dolphins, they're kind of in need of a receiver, but they also just signed one. I don't know, man. I don't know. I still think that the Dolphins are going to do it. I do. I don't see how you can pass up on Jamar Chase. You're given an opportunity to get one of the three top receivers in this year's class, and I believe all three of them are not just good receivers. I believe all three of these receivers are Pro Bowl caliber receivers. I believe that Jamar Chase is, I believe that Devontae Smith is, and I believe that Jalen Waddle is. I don't see how you can pass up on a potential Pro Bowl receiver to add to a nasty team already that should be even better next year. They had a good year this year. They had a good year this year and missed the playoffs. They could be in a very interesting spot if they draft another receiver. I do know that they had some struggles with the receivers last year where they were running like Lynn Bowden as their number one receiver. So, you know what? Let's not run into that issue. Let's draft Jamar Chase. Let's get another Pro Bowl receiver out there in Miami, and let's help out that boy Tua Tagovailoa. Then we get into the seventh pick in this year's draft. We have the Detroit Lions. I also believe that they're going receiver here. I don't care what whoever's the top receiver on the board, they're taking here. If Jamar Chase is on the board, they're taking him here. But if Jamar Chase is off the board, I think Jalen Waddle's going here. To me, Jalen Waddle's the second best receiver in this year's draft. My favorite receiver in this year's draft, but realistically, the second best receiver in this year's class. I'm a big fan of Jalen Waddle. You already know that. I love how he can make big plays out of nothing. He's very similar, man. And I hate making this comparison because it's just a crazy comparison. But to me, he reminds me of a Tyreek Hill, man. You can throw the ball to this guy, and he'll go make you a play. He'll go make you a play on his own. That's what Jalen Waddle brings to the table. I love Jalen Waddle. Absolutely my favorite receiver in this year's draft. Out of Alabama. I don't care what team he goes to. I am going to be excited to see Jalen Waddle drafted. Unfortunately, I put him on the Lions, so that's a interdivision rivalry for us Bears fans. But shout out to Jalen Waddle. Then we got the Carolina Panthers, man. They're drafting at pick 8. I could see them trading. But I can only see them trading if somebody's interested in drafting Trey Lance here. I don't know how legitimate anybody's going to want to move up because I have the Bears drafting a quarterback, and the only other team that I really think is maybe considering it is the Broncos and the Eagles. And the Broncos, I don't think they take Trey Lance. So I don't see why the Eagles would have to jump them. So with the Panthers pick here, I think they're going to stay pat. I don't think they're going to get much interest. And I think that with the 8th pick in the draft, they're going to draft the best tight end that we have seen in a long time out of Florida, Kyle Pitts. Ran a 4.4 40. This dude is an amazing athlete. I believe Kyle Pitts can even be moved to a receiver if you wanted to. I've watched some of his film at Florida. This dude is everywhere on the field at once. You can do whatever you wish with this man. You can run him up in the slot if you need to. You can run him at tight end. You can run him as a blocker. You can run him as your number one receiver if you were that desperate. And it's not even really desperate because this dude knows how to catch that football and he knows how to run routes. Kyle Pitts, absolutely one of my favorite players in this year's draft, along with Jalen Waddle and Zach Wilson, obviously. But next, we have the Denver Broncos. Like I said, I could see them being maybe in love with Trey Lance. I can. But they're sitting at pick 9. And believe it or not, the Broncos, I just don't think that they are going to do it, man. The Broncos, they're a defensive team. They are a defensive team, man. And I would love to sit here and I would love to draft a linebacker for him, or I'd love to do something of that nature where maybe Micah Parsons goes here. Maybe they draft a defensive end like a Kwity Paye. I think they go corner. I don't see how you can pass up on Patrick Surtain. I've seen some people say that Patrick Surtain might fall as low as 20, where the Bears could pick. I've seen some mock drafts where he falls that low. I've seen a lot of confusion between who's the true number one corner in this year's draft. I've seen everything from Caleb Farley to J.C. Horn. I don't think it's that big of a debate. I'm pretty certain that Patrick Surtain is the guy. I don't understand why all of a sudden people have started to not trust that. So I'm gonna have to go with my gut here. I'm gonna have to take Patrick Surtain with the Broncos. I believe he's the true number one corner in this year's draft. I understand that you might fall in love with the measurables of a J.C. Horn or Caleb Farley, for example, but it's you're looking too much into it. Sometimes people overthink things, and that's one of those things I'm thinking people are overthinking. Patrick Surtain, in my opinion, is the best on the board. I don't see how you can. I don't see how you can not see that. Then we get into the Cowboys. Now the Cowboys, they're kicking themselves right now because the Cowboys need a secondary. And oh my God, Jerry, Jerry, do not draft another position which you do not need. Do not draft a quarterback. Do not draft an offensive lineman. Do not draft a tight end. Do not draft another receiver like you did last year with CeeDee Lamb. Draft secondary. Your secondary is garbage. Garbage. Draft it. J.C. Horn is the guy I got going to the Cowboys corner. I would if Patrick Surtain is on the board for the Cowboys, they have absolutely zero excuse for passing on him. If they pass on them, they don't deserve to even be considered to be close to the playoffs. They shouldn't even be mentioned anymore. I don't care if Dak's back or not. Keep him out of the playoffs if they don't draft Patrick Surtain if he's there. Absolutely ridiculous. But I got J.C. Horn. I think he's a better player than Caleb Farley. I just think he'll be a better NFL player than Caleb Farley, so I got him going earlier than him. Then we get into the New York Football Giants. Now you got that boy Danny Dimes. Now, obviously, I'm not sold that Danny Dimes is the future quarterback of this team, man. There's nothing really that's proven that. So maybe they're in play for Trey Lance. Do I think they are? No. But maybe they are. Maybe they are, but that's not what I have them going with. I've begged and pleaded with Chicago to do this for many, many years now. Ever since they drafted Mitch. Can you invest in your players? If you're the Giants, draft Rashawn Slater, best offensive lineman on the board, second best offensive lineman in the entire class. He's sitting there at pick 11. And you have a young quarterback that you need to build around. do it. You can't just draft the quarterback and expect things to work out. You still got to build it. The pyramids were never built in a day. They're built piece by piece. Yeah, maybe Daniel Jones was the base of the pyramid, but you got to fill it out. You got to get the offensive alignment. Then you got to get good receivers. Then you got to get a nice tight end. You got to have some running game. You have to have a decent coach. There's pieces to these things. They need to add another piece in Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern. Then we finally have the fall of Trey Lance in with the Eagles. The Eagles are on the clock now. Do I think the Eagles are going to move up for Trey Lance? No. I don't see why you would. I have all the faith in the world in Jalen Hurts to run a season for the Eagles. I think Jalen Hurts running the full season could be better than what they did this year. I think if you give Jalen Hurts the reins to the kingdom in Philadelphia, that he'll do better than what Carson Wentz has done the last few years. But I don't see why. If Trey Lance is on the board, you could do it. You could do it. That doesn't mean that he's going to beat Jalen Hurts in a QB battle. It doesn't mean he's going to be the future starter. I more so think of this as an insurance policy that maybe if you aren't liking what you're seeing out of Jalen Hurts, you always have another young quarterback that you could turn to, or maybe you start Trey Lance and use Jalen Hurts as the insurance policy because he's already kind of done that for Philadelphia. So I don't think this is a pick that is going to mean too much. I could see them maybe going up Devontae Smith here and maybe drafting an offensive lineman. If Rashawn Slater was here, I would draft an offensive lineman, but he just went off the board, and I don't think Christian Darrisaw is going to end up in Philadelphia. So I'm going to have to say Trey Lance to the Eagles because I do know that there is some rumors going around that possibly they could be interested in trading up. And yeah, we're unable to get Justin Fields. Why can't you go out and why can't you go get yourself Trey Lance, another one of the quarterbacks in this year's draft? Then we get to pick 13 for the Chargers. Now the Chargers, they need a lot, man. They need an offensive line. They need some linebackers. Everything could help them out. Everything. But the thing I have them drafting is, yeah, you need some offensive linemen. Maybe Christian Darrisaw out here would work. Maybe you could go Elijah Vera Tucker. Maybe you should go Dylan Radunz. Maybe you should go William Ike or whatever, Leichenberg or whatever its name is. Maybe you could go Trey Smith. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at that point, man. You'll have another opportunity to draft offensive lineman, but you will never have another opportunity to see a guy like Micah Parsons fall all the way into your lap at 13. I believe Micah Parsons is the best defensive player in this year's draft. Short and sweet. I believe he is. Now, he might fall down the board. He might fall down the board further than this. Simply because he was on that Penn State team that had hazing issues in their locker room. That raises some concerns. Maybe Micah has some character concerns. Maybe Micah is not necessarily the most mature. You don't ever really want to get somebody that is unpredictable in your locker room. But I believe in terms of overall talent and skill, Micah Parsons is the top player in this year's draft and on the defensive side of things. So I don't see how you can pass up the Chargers. Then we get into the Minnesota Vikings, another NFC North rival. And I have them going with, I actually have them going with an offensive lineman. I've had them all over the board. I've had them at defensive line. I've at one point I thought maybe they could go Kyle Pitts, but I had Kyle Pitts move up. And now I have them with Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech, somebody that I had going to Chicago at 20, I believe last time. They need help on the offensive line. They do, but this is a very interesting spot, man. This could go many ways. This could go any way, man. There's really no predicting where they go with this one. I could see them doing a lot of different things. I could see them possibly drafting a cornerback. I could see them doing a lot of different things here. But I'm going to have them take Christian Darrisaw. Then we get into the New England Patriots. Yes, sir. My second team. We got the New England Patriots drafting at pick 15. Now, I've begged and pleaded with them the last few years to draft a quarter. I begged for them to get Lamar Jackson. They never did. I begged with them many times. I begged for them to trade up and get Justin Herbert. They never did. Man, I don't even know, man. I don't even know where to go from there. I would love to see Trey Lance fall to them. I would. Last year, I wanted just Jordan Love to go there. He didn't. I would love to see them get Trey Lance. Even if Trey Lance is on the board, I do not think they draft Trey Lance. I think they're going to commit to Cam Newton. I think they're going to draft a receiver here, and the best receiver on the board. I don't know how he made it to pick 15, honestly. I got Devontae Smith going to out of Alabama, going to the New England Patriots. They've really not had much in terms of receivers. I mean, N'Keal Harry hasn't been good. I mean, Edelman. What else? I mean, you had Demir Bird. They need to figure it out, man. They need to figure it out, and I don't think there's much better way than to draft the Heisman winner from the receiver position in Devontae Smith. Then we get into the Arizona Cardinals with pick 16. Arizona Cardinals, I'll keep it short and simple. They just lost Patrick Peterson. They need a replacement. I think that one of the top 3 corners will be on the board, and they'll go with whomever is left, whether that be JC, Pat, or Caleb Farley. And in my mock draft, I have Caleb Farley on the board out of Virginia Tech. So I'm going to have them take Caleb Farley there. Then we got the Las Vegas Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders, man, I could see them doing a bunch of different things. I could see them going all the line. I could see them possibly even going receiver. I could see them doing some things. But the thing I ended up having them do is I have them taking a very fun name to pronounce, an outside linebacker out of Georgia, Azeez Ojulari. I think this dude's going to be really fun to watch and definitely a fun name to pronounce. Azeez Ojulari is. Next, we have the Dolphins yet again. The Dolphins with their second pick in this year's draft. And the Dolphins, I could see them going receiver, or my bad, not receiver. I could see them going running back here, and I could see them going defense, but I honestly think that they go with the offensive line. You have Tua Tagovailoa, who you're committed to. You're committed to him now. I don't see why you wouldn't commit to him fully and draft an offensive lineman and say, you know what, we'll build the pieces around you. Go get a guy that you can move almost anywhere on the offensive line out of North Dakota State. Go get Dylan Rodunce out of North Dakota State. Then we get into the Washington football team, man. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what the football team could do. I don't know what they could do. I just had them drafting the best player left on my board, a guy that I really like. I'm not really sure what the football team's direction is, man. I'm going to be honest with you. I could see them maybe going a quarterback, but there's really none there. I could see them going a line. I could see them going. I don't even know what they're capable of, man. I really don't. I really don't. But I'm going to have to say that they're going to draft Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah out of Notre Dame. One of my top players in this year's draft. I think he's going to be a little bit underrated in this year's draft. I can see him fall out of the whole first round, honestly. But I think he's going to be a very talented player for years to come in this league as a linebacker. Then we have what was the Chicago Bears pick at pick 20 that I had traded to the Atlanta Falcons. I have them drafting an offensive lineman to pair alongside of Matt Ryan for now. I believe they will move on from Matt Ryan, but not right this moment. And I have them drafting a guy that I think could be a steal. I think this guy is going to be one of the top offensive linemen in 2 to 3 years, and that's Elijah Vera Tucker out of the University of Southern California, USC. I think he would be a very solid player for years to come. Then we have the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts, they need some secondary help, and I have them drafting a cornerback out of UCF, Aaron Robinson, who I believe Aaron Robinson's an interesting case, if you ask me. I don't know whether or not there's a true value on him. I could see him going to a third round. I could see him going as early as first round. The kid's good. But I can't gauge where his true value is. I like the kid. I'm going to have him get drafted in the first round because I think he is going to be a good player. But I could see him getting drafted in the third round, if I'm being honest with you. Next, we have pick 22 going to the Tennessee Titans. A very fun team to watch because they got Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, and also A.J. Brown. And they used to have Corey Davis. But a very fun team to watch nonetheless. I have them drafting a linebacker. Now, I know they do have a decent linebacking core, but you pair Zaven Collins with any linebacking core, man, and that linebacking core, I don't care who you got in it, it's still getting elevated. You want a nasty defense that you're afraid of, get this guy. Now, obviously, maybe receivers in play because Corey Davis, but you possibly could be in a good situation, man. You could be in a really good situation if you are the Titans on defense next year. Next, we have pick 23, which goes to the New York Jets. The Jets, man, I had them draft Zachary Wilson. My guy, Zach. And I've seen people sit here and say maybe Najee goes here, maybe Travis Etienne goes here, maybe another receiver goes here. And I would love to send a receiver here, man, because last year's receiving core in New York, man, that was miserable. That was miserable, and not even just for the Jets, even the Giants. Yeah, I got you. Even the Giants, man. Even the Giants, they were just miserable, miserable. I don't know how, just how even it is possible for a city to have two football teams and they're just miserable at receiver. But the Jets, man, unfortunately, I can't give them a receiver here. I got to give them an offensive lineman because I say it every time. When you get a quarterback, you got to build pieces around it. And that starts with the offensive line. Tevin Jenkins out of Oklahoma State. I think Tevin Jenkins is going to be anywhere from a day one to a day two player. I think he could be a second-round pick, but I think he's going to be valued as a first-round pick. The Jets, they need to fix their offensive line. I think Tevin Jenkins might be that guy. Next, we have pick 24 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Shout out to my boy Alex, big Steelers fan out there. Steelers, man, I've had them going with the same guy every single time. I just think they fixed their offensive line because Foster's not going to be there anymore. I got them taking Jalen Mayfield out of Michigan. I think this kid's going to be solid. I don't think he is necessarily an elite offensive lineman. I just think he's going to be a solid overall NFL player, and I think he's going to end up going to the Steelers. Then we have the Jacksonville Jaguars with their second pick. I could see them going a few places here. Maybe this is where we see Najee Harris go. Who knows? I wouldn't expect it to be honest with you. But maybe this is where Najee Harris ends. However, I got them drafting Trayvon Moehrig out of TCU, Texas Christian University, safety out of there. Very good safety. I think he is the top safety in this year's draft. They do have Nasuderlin, who is a good safety, but I think Moehrig is a little bit better than him. Then we get into the Cleveland Browns, man. The Cleveland Browns. Now, Cleveland, I've had them going with the same guy too, man. I think they boost up that front seven on the defense. I think they just make that pass rush as scary as possible. And you know how you make a pass rush scary? You get a guy in the middle to eat up some tackles there, and that's Christian Barmore out of Alabama. I think this guy could be very impactful for the Cleveland Browns. Then we got the Baltimore Ravens. I got the Ravens taking an offensive lineman. I could see them going receiver. Unfortunately for them, I don't think it makes sense. I don't. I mean, Boykin's good. Then you got Marquise Hollywood Brown. The players are there at receiver for him. They just haven't been performing well. And you got Lamar out there having to try to make circus plays. Let's try to stop that, and let's get an offensive lineman. And the top offensive lineman left on the board for me is Samuel Cosmi out of Texas. I'm going to have him go to the Baltimore Ravens at pick 27. Then we get into pick 28, man, and that is the New Orleans Saints. Now, I have a completely different philosophy here than a lot of the people. I actually believe that this could, yes, I do know that they just signed Taysom Hill to a big deal, and they also got Jameis Winston back. I believe it or not, I believe this is where we are going to see the first major shock. Now, a lot of these names are names that aren't shocking. Dylan Radunz, I can see it happening. I mean, that's a lot of name. Like, a lot of these guys have been in and around the first round scene. I believe this is going to be the first shock of this year's draft, and I believe that they're drafting a quarterback out of Stanford in Davis Mills. Now, Davis Mills is a guy that I think he could slide into the first round. He is going to be that next tier out of, because I guarantee you Trey Lance is getting drafted in the first round. That is a conclusion. There's 5 quarterbacks that are getting drafted in the first round. The next question that we come up with is, what happens in the next tier? Is it a Kellen Mond, maybe? A Kyle Trask? I got a Davis Mills. I think Davis Mills can slide his way up into the first round, potentially. I'm not guaranteeing it, but I think it could happen for the Philadelphia, for the New Orleans Saints. Then we get into the Green Bay Packers. They're picking at pick 29, and I'm not a fan of the Packers. I'll never be a fan of the Packers, but I respect what Aaron Rodgers has done. And my God, man, they have not gotten this man help. They have Devontae. They have Devontae Adams. Geronimo Allison was there. He was okay. MVS was good some weeks. Robert Tonyan came in and was playing really good. A.J. Dillon was good for you at running back. Aaron Jones was good for you. But the one question, Jamal Williams was good for you. The one question, where are they going to get help at receiver if it ain't for Devontae Adams? Devontae legitimately was the best receiver in the league, and I don't even believe he was the best receiver in the league, in my own opinion. I think the only reason that his stats suggested that is because of the simple fact they really had no other option. They didn't. Now, you can make a debate between Stephon Diggs and Devontae Adams. I would take Stephon Diggs in that battle, but you got to get help. Rashad Bateman is the top receiver left on the board. Maybe you could go with Kadarius Toney and go for speed. Maybe you could go I don't think Tutu is a first-round player. I love Tutu Atwell, but I don't think he is. Maybe you do that. Maybe you go Rondale Moore. Maybe you go Elijah Moore. There's a lot of options. At receiver. Hopefully, they do give Aaron Rodgers some sort of help, because you got to feel bad for the guy, man. You got to feel bad for the guy. Then we got pick 30. Pick 30 is the Buffalo Bills. And pick 30 for the Buffalo Bills, I see them going with a defensive back. And somebody that's name kind of slid down a little bit is Greg Newsome. Greg Newsome, I think, is in that Aaron Robinson category, where there might not be a true value behind him, but he is, at best, a first-round player. I could see him being it. I could also see him being a round 2 player, though. So, I don't know the true value there with Greg Newsome. I don't know if he will be a first-round player, but it definitely wouldn't be a reach to take him. Then we got the Chiefs, man. The Chiefs, I'll only say one thing about them. Watch the Super Bowl, and tell me what was their biggest concern. Get that man, Patrick Mahomes, some help. I'm not a big fan of the guy, but geez, man, that was embarrassing. Get him an offensive line. I have them taking Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama, who I actually think I had going a little bit earlier than this last time. I've been having Wyatt Davis going to the Chiefs, but I think Alex Leatherwood, if he's there, is a better option for them. Then we get into the last pick, man, and this is a pick, man, that if you're a Bucs fan, man, you got to be smiling. You don't need anything. You legitimately do not need a damn thing. You're just successful, man. Your team's back, better than ever. You got a great safety. You got some great linebackers. You got some great front seven players. You got some great quarterback. You got some great receivers. You got three good tight ends actually. You got a good O line. There's nothing you got to concern yourself with. And since you don't have to concern yourself with anything, I said, you know what? Let's have the Buccaneers draft the best player left in this year's draft, somebody that shouldn't fall this far. But for some reason, I have him falling this far. And Kwity Paye. Kwity Paye out of Michigan. Kwity Paye. I don't see if Kwity Paye is there past pick 28 with the Saints, man, then oh my lord, somebody in that final couple picks better swipe him up because you cannot let Tampa get him. Now I'll be happy if Tampa gets him because that helps my boy Tom Brady, my favorite player of all time, get another chance at another Super Bowl. I mean, we all know he's already going to probably make it back to the Super Bowl. However, it's never a forgiving conclusion. But anyways, that is it for the the second mock draft here on the channel. I'm sorry for that interruption a little bit ago. I had somebody come into the room, and because it's a public place, I'm supposed to be wearing my mask, even though there's nobody in the room. So I had to put the mask back on, as you guys can see now. But that's not for us to worry about right now, and it's whatever. But that was Mock Draft 2.0. Let me know down below if you agree with some of this stuff. You like the trade with the Chicago Bears. We have the Falcons and the Bears swapping it. I'll go over it one more time. I got the Bears moving up to pick 4 for the 20th pick, the 83rd pick, Anthony Miller, and a second rounder in the future. I don't think that is a big deal for Chicago. I'm one that hates giving up picks, and I would hate it if we gave up two first round picks in order to move up to get what might be Justin Fields. I wouldn't like that. I'm not a big fan of trading first round draft picks. So I did like it with Khalil Mack though. So who knows? Maybe they work something out. Maybe they don't. But I fully expect this year's draft to be a fun one nonetheless. Definitely going to have some fun with this one. This is going to be a fun draft. A lot of fun players in this year's draft. I'm excited for it, man. And we're right now at the time of the filming this, we're 21 days out, meaning we're about 3 weeks out. But hey, we might be 3 weeks out. I'm uploading this next Monday. But hey, man, it's coming fast, man. It is coming fast. And every single day, man, every single day, I'm not even joking, I always be paying attention. I always be paying attention because I always have some texts back and forth with my dad talking about some stuff that the Bears might do. I even talked to him earlier today that I think that the 49ers could possibly be trolling everybody, and I think that maybe Trey Lance is in play. I don't know. There's a lot to go into making these decisions for these NFL executives coming up, so it should be fun, it should be interesting, and it should be one hell of a ride for us fans. Make sure you go follow me on Twitter at GamersGoonYT and on Instagram at thegoongameryt. By the time you're watching this, I just finished up with all of my WrestleMania content, so make sure if you are into that, make sure you go watch all of that. But we are going to be doing this on the channel for the upcoming weeks because we got some good football coming for us, man. It's that time of the year, man.